You ever watch a movie or a video or a television series and think to yourself, this feels like a low-budget parody of itself? That's what No Game, No Life feels like to me. Now don't get me wrong, I think the show is amazing and extremely entertaining, but the way that the main characters, Sora and Shiro, are portrayed make me think that I'm watching an abridged series. See, I've watched a good number of abridged series, hell, here's a list of all of them, and the biggest trait that's consistent between all of them is they either take very specific characters and completely invert them into the opposite of their canonical counterpart, or they take the personalities of all the other characters and turn them up to 11. Usually both. Kirito acts like the asshole he's always wanted to be up until he and Asuna formed the most unlikely of relationships, whereas in the canon he's socially awkward, yet is always surrounded by like 12 other girls and his girlfriend.
I've got good news. You see, there's no need to wonder where your god is, because he's right here! And he's fresh out of mercy.
Goku is a big dumb idiot who only cares about fighting.
Just according to Cake.
And Joey is from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but you just said—
That's what Sora and Shiro remind me of. We know from the very beginning that they're shut-in gamers who rarely, if ever, go outside and interact with other human beings, but once they enter the world of Discord, I'm still getting over the fact that the world of games they live in is called Discord, like the show's aware of how painful of a pun that is. These seem to turn not only into master strategists and political geniuses, but also into social wizards who can talk to any person at any time and implicitly understand the deepest parts of their psyche. And I'm sorry, but even barring the crazy fantasy world they live in, those two things don't really mix. Yeah, I know when they're apart for more than 3 seconds, they both go into a panic attack. Sora from having to interact with real people and not knowing how to, and Shiro from being away from her Oni-chan because of f***ing course. But even if they didn't have the insane connectivity that they do in the show, it wouldn't excuse the awkward mix of personalities and skills that they possess. Social interaction doesn't usually mix with staying inside all day and playing video games. Sure, it can if you're talking with your friends over a voice chat like Discord or Skype, but who gives a shit about Skype? But that isn't the same as having a real conversation with other people in the same room. You only get the jumbled sounds of people you can't see talking over each other, and you have to deal with poor microphone quality if they use a USB or built-in microphone, or most gaming headsets under, let's say, $50. And you can't get the physical sensation of another person unless they're standing right there in the room with you. Voice chats work fine for long-distance friendships to keep in touch and stay strong for short periods of time, but it's not emotionally sustainable to only interact with people through text or voice chats. And if you never go outside, that's going to be the extent of your social interaction. Take it from me, someone who has social anxiety and sometimes can't find the mental strength to go out and talk to people even if I absolutely need to get the information I need for certain things. It's something I'm still working on. I spend a lot of time on Discord talking with my friends, but since I live about 3 hours away from most of them as they go to school near our hometown and I go to school in West Michigan, I rarely get to see them, and that reality is a depressing one. It's one that I chose for myself, so it doesn't get me down, but it's real nonetheless. And if I didn't have a place to go to hang out to real people who I love and trust, then I would not be able to last a single semester of college. However, the reverse is also true. If you're the type of person who can go out and talk to anyone anywhere and have a great time, then great for you. Go live your life doing that thing and be happy. You deserve it. But that usually means you aren't spending much time alone playing video games, especially not the ones that Sora and Shiro play that strengthen the functionality of your brain and lets you think faster and more logically and critically. And as a result, you can tend to get caught up in the present and not worry about what's in the future sans a few days or weeks of preparation for a single event. You're making tons of friends, but at the cost of a mind that hasn't yet reached the pinnacle of acuity. And even then, I seriously doubt you know what goes on inside the head of every person, even after knowing them for several months and having frequent conversations with them. The point I'm making here is that unless you have no job and no hobbies and don't ever sleep, it is impossible to be both the perfect social animal that can do anything and implicitly understand every single person you talk to upon first meeting them, and be so good at video games that you will never lose a game of anything in your entire life. Even a computer-simulated game of chess designed to be professional chess masters 20 times in a row. Because those two things are contradictory. They each take an insane amount of time to master, and they take constant practice to maintain your skills in. And the reason I spent so much time explaining all of this is because before these two got sucked into another dimension, they clearly existed in a world more or less identical to our own. I say this because while in Disboard, they make tons of references to shows and games that exist in real life, whether it be Civ, Phoenix Wright, or even motherfucking JoJo. Though that does make me wonder why this scene happened the way it did. She's always lived here, so how did she know of that pose and that phrase? Yeah, questions for later. The whole premise of these characters existing the way they do is kind of screwed up in multiple ways due to their ungodly skill at everything. Because of this, they don't really feel like real people. They're barely even characters. They feel more like a team of people took a real character from a different show and cranked up a few skills and traits to absurdity, just to show how ridiculous the original character was in the first place, or to tell a more comedic story than the original. They feel like characters from an Abridged series. Actually, so does everything in the world they live in. No, wait, so does the entire show. The hard cuts to and from scenes with weirdly loud and powerful sound effects don't really make me feel at ease. Almost as if the show is going to decide to be something completely different halfway through for no reason. Not only that, the pacing of the show is just all over the place, and the development Sora and Shiro get is done off-screen or in between episodes and scenes, meaning their progression as people is merely implied instead of being shown to us to allow us to grow to genuinely feel for them. The only reason we feel for them right now is because they are the protagonists, so the plot revolves around them. And as Sword Art Online has shown us, you need to put more effort into making a believable and sympathetic protagonist than just, "Look at my massive sword cock, aren't I the greatest?" All that does is detach us from the protagonist so that we don't care about anything that happens to them. By the way, none of this is to say that the show is bad. While watching it, my main thought was just pure surprise and shock as it kept doing things I wasn't expecting, and it was definitely a lot of fun. I would absolutely recommend this show to anyone who hasn't seen it yet and just wants to have a good time, just to have some stupid fun. Because sometimes that's all you really need in a show. A reason to chill out and enjoy shit. Anyway, I'm Van Campone, and I will see you guys next time.